My hands shook as I launched the executable. It had been weeks of effort, but I had finally gotten my hands on the full release version of Juniors. Juniors is honestly among the best FNAF fan games I have ever played. It's polished and has really high production values. Some of the best I've ever seen. That's just the truth. There are free roam old school first person 3D segments that I've never seen in a Click Team game before. There's a compelling story and a neat visual aesthetic to the cutscenes that actually reminds me a lot of Phasmophob's first fan game, A Shadow Over Freddy's. The game is great. If anyone thought that Juniors was being overhyped and might be a letdown, I'm telling you right now, it's really impressive. The office gameplay is really cool. Unlike most FNAF fan games, watching the animatronics on the cameras becomes more than just a game of who is where. You actually need to observe them in the cameras and pay attention to the animatronics, looking for clues and trying to assess which of them is haunted. The gameplay actually reminds me a lot of Phasmophobia's paranormal ghost detection mechanics. Most importantly, the designs are just fantastic. Junior's developer Darroc's versions of the animatronics are really unique and cool looking, yet at the same time they evoke the twisted nostalgic feeling that the classic FNAF designs did. The Junior's designs are among my favorite interpretations of the FNAF animatronics, second only perhaps to Baddington's. Unlike the early FNAF games where the goal is to survive for a set period of time, Junior's uses a task-based system similar to Pizzeria Simulator. Your goal is to observe the animatronics and determine which of them is haunted. Haunting is indicated by various effects, such as lights flickering, the phone going off in the room they're in, handprints showing up, stuff like that. Throughout the night, the animatronics will become increasingly unstable. If their stability reaches 0, you're jump scared and it's game over. You can call animatronics to your office via the conveyor belt and repair them, which resets their stability timers. However, if you call the haunted animatronic to your office, you're dead. Your goal is to determine which animatronic is haunted before its stability or the stability of one of the others reaches 0. It's a neat twist on the FNAF mechanics and I actually really enjoy it. It's among the highest quality FNAF fan games out there and I actually found myself getting really into it. This made the jump scares more effective. If enough of you guys subscribe, Juniors will come out. Disclaimer, subscribing will not cause Juniors to come out any sooner. Now, I know what you're all thinking. How the heck did you get your hands on Juniors? Is it coming out? If you have the game, why don't you just release it, you idiot? Okay, I'll explain everything, I promise. I'll even explain why I hadn't said anything up until now. The tale of Juniors is a strange one. The game was supposed to come out a few weeks ago, but it didn't. Instead, Juniors developer Ramonov was implicated in the Peargate scandal. This was a complicated situation, and I already made a video all about it. But in short, a group of FNAF fan game developers had been part of a secret organization dedicated to acquiring leaks of highly anticipated upcoming FNAF fan game projects. The moment the Peargate scandal broke, I reached out to Ramonov to see if he was willing to talk. He didn't respond, and would never respond to me again. To complicate things further, Juniors was set to release less than a week after the scandal broke. But surely Ramonov would still release his game, right? Surely he wouldn't just disappear without a trace after not releasing Juniors, right? After not releasing Juniors, Ramonov disappeared without a trace. Well, that sucks. You know what doesn't suck though? Today's sponsor, NordVPN. With NordVPN, you can mask your internet connection and disappear without a trace, just like Ramonov. In light of the situation with the pair, information security is obviously on all of our minds. NordVPN encrypts all your traffic and prevents websites and even bad actors from tracking your browsing habits. Nord is supported on iOS, Android, Windows, macOS, and Linux, so whatever device you prefer, you're protected. Speed tests confirm that NordVPN is the fastest VPN out there, which is especially handy for us gamers and content creators. It's effortless to change your location and connect to the web as if you're in a completely different part of the world. You can even take advantage of discounts on games and streaming services. With NordVPN, you can remotely connect to your home region and access your favorite TV shows, movies, and YouTube content even when traveling abroad. With over 5,500 servers in 59 countries, NordVPN has you covered. Take advantage of their bundle deal and get access to their cross-platform password manager, as well as 1 terabyte of encrypted cloud storage. Right now, NordVPN is offering an exclusive deal for us FNAF fans over at nordvpn.com/theftking. If you sign up now, you'll get access to a bonus month on top of whatever plan you choose, absolutely free. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no reason not to try it if you're interested. Head to nordvpn.com/theftking right now to get this exclusive deal before it's gone. Thanks so much to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Ramonov wasn't the only person working on Juniors though. Arguably, the most striking and unique thing about the game are the animatronic designs and models, which are pretty fantastic. These were made by Darroc, who also conceived of the entire project with Ramonov for one of the fan games at Freddy's events. Darroc was desperate to save the project. Both he and many others had worked really hard to make Juniors, and it was incredibly frustrating that Ramanov was essentially holding the project hostage. All of their work was in limbo. Now, you must be thinking, wait, how did nobody else have a build of the game? It was a week from launch. There was a private beta test. Surely one of those people still had the executable, right? Well, Ramanov put a very bizarre form of DRM in his game. He created a pastebin that always contained the version number of Junior's latest build. Whenever the game launches, it makes a request to that pastebin and checks its current version number against whatever number is in the pastebin. If the number doesn't match up, the game won't launch. For this reason, Juniors, a single-player game, requires an internet connection to play, which is sort of insane. Unfortunately, Ramanov is the owner of the pastebin, so nobody could modify it to point at the beta version that we did have. It seemed like we were totally out of luck. Then, a miracle happened. In an ironic twist, considering the whole pair thing, Rat Race developer SussLord had gotten his hands on a janky but mostly working build of Juniors. When Darroc found out, he reached out to SussLord and asked if there was any chance that they could decompile the game. A game is made of source code and assets, and once it's done, that code is compiled into the actual game file, the exe. Decompiling is going backwards, starting with the finished game and rebuilding the source code from it. Like the classic Five Nights at Freddy's games, Juniors is made in ClickTeam. The early FNAF games aren't too tricky to decompile, so it stood to reason that Juniors might not be as well. Darroc recreated the Juniors Gamejolt page and began his efforts to save the project. There was hope for Juniors. Unfortunately, Juniors, as well as other games made in the latest version of ClickTeam Fusion, are very difficult to decompile. The result is an incredibly corrupted project file that would take immense work to reconstruct. Thus, SussLord reached out to his friend Dyer, who wrote a hacky workaround that caused the game to make a request to his own pastebin page. And it worked. The game was playable. Because Dyer's pastebin had the older version number for the pre-release beta, the game believed it was the latest version and it launched itself. Unfortunately, this workaround was sketchy. It was a janky hack, and you can't just release a game like that. You can't expect average users to go deploy this hack to their game just to launch it. Thus, they went back to exploring the decompilation. SussLord knew that if anyone had a chance of decompiling Juniors, it was Pete. Pete is a known ClickTeam expert, as well as a member of the team working on the ClickTeam Fusion Army Knife. If anyone could decompile a game made in ClickTeam Fusion 2.5+, it was him. This project was clandestine though. Pete began working to decompile the game without even knowing that it was Juniors. However, as he began to work, Darroc reached back out. He had gotten in touch with Ramanov again, who claimed that he was willing to release the game. In light of this, Darroc told the volunteers working to decompile Juniors to hold off. There was no point in having people do all that work if there was a chance that they could get the game through normal channels. Unfortunately, things haven't really panned out. At one point, it looked like Ramanov was going to give the Juniors project file to Darroc. Then Ramanov said he would release the game himself. Weeks passed without any updates. Ramanov would tell Darroc that he was working on the game, this weekend, hopefully intending to finish it and release it, and then nothing. Ramanov would ghost Darroc for extensive periods. This is actually why I held off on making this video for so long. Whenever I was losing hope that the game would ever actually see the light of day, there would be some promising update regarding it, and Ramanov or whatever, but nothing ever came of it. I anticipate that this video is going to cause a stir in our community, and I didn't want to put any more pressure on Darroc or even Ramanov. Doing so meant running the risk that Ramanov would disappear again, or do something desperate or crazy. There's only so much people can put up with though, and frankly, there isn't any indication that Ramanov intends to release the game. It was supposed to come out a month ago, so if Ramanov really wanted to, I feel like we would have seen it already. Even if he did, does anyone really trust him enough anymore to run an executable file that he built on their computers? I would hope that Ramanov isn't that crazy, but who knows? Popular YouTuber FusionZGamer recently had their YouTube channel hacked after downloading an itch.io game. Considering perfectly legitimate ClickTeam fan games are frequently falsely flagged by Windows as being viruses, we can't rely on that to tell us if anything Ramanov released was malicious or not. The best thing that Ramanov could do would be to turn over the ClickTeam project file, also known as the MFA, to somebody reputable and have them compile it, but I really doubt that's gonna happen. Even now, Darroc is frequently struggling to communicate with Ramanov, and nobody really knows what he's up to or if he intends to release the game at all, or when, or whatever. I still have hope that the game is going to come out. I hope Ramanov comes to his senses and stops holding the game hostage, or at least says something publicly. Maybe the game wasn't ready for release and he needed more time. If that's the case, just tell us. Either way, it's been over a month since the game was supposed to come out. I'm constantly asked, what's going on with Juniors, or is Juniors coming out? So here we are. This is the situation. The copy I'm running now is jank. I know I said it was the full release version, and yeah, that's what it says in the corner, but that's just not the case. I don't know what Ramanov was doing with the version numbers, but 1.0 is usually the release. Apparently though, the latest version is 1.20 or something, which is hilarious. It's a good thing I know this, because any random person playing would actually believe that this version was intended for release, and it's just obviously not. The audio frequently cuts out and stops working until you reset the game. A handful of textures are missing, and the 3D segments crash if you have OBS or any sort of screen recorder going. The game is totally playable mechanically, and it's actually a lot of fun. I really like it. However, not all of the game is there yet, and it's obviously not the experience that Ramanov, Darroc, or any of the other contributors intended for players to have. Trust me, you don't want to play this version of Juniors. I don't want to play this version. I want to experience the game as it was intended, and in spite of the situation with the pair, Ramanov has a right to release Juniors in full, and I still think that there's a chance that that might happen, and thus I'm holding out a little longer. Furthermore, in order to get my hands on Juniors at all, I had to agree that I wouldn't release it. It's not a releasable game anyway. It crashes all the time, options are missing, all the extras are available from the start, which clearly isn't intended, as they spoil aspects of the game. While the build of Juniors that I have is indeed the game, and it's pretty complete, it's not finished. I wish that it was. I wish I was telling you all right now that Juniors is here and it's amazing and polished and you can go download it now in the description. That was the goal a month ago. Juniors would be saved, and I could make this video and call it Juniors is saved, download now, or something like that. That's what all of us wanted. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out, and sadly, I don't have any reason to believe anything is going to change anytime soon. I hope that maybe this video will encourage Ramanov to reconsider and release the game. It's really cool, and it showcases some incredible work from talented people in our community who had nothing to do with the pair or leaks or anything like that. Anyway, I want to thank Darroc for chatting with me and for working so hard to salvage Juniors as best as he can. It surely wasn't easy to step up and publicly take charge of the project, especially right after all the controversy, and Darroc should be commended for that. I also want to thank SussLord for all his efforts. Go check out his game Rat Race on Gamejolt, it looks really cool. And Ramanov, just release the game, please. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be. Thanks for watching.